Hi, my name is Zara Crofcheck, and I am lucky enough to be the first person to do a Kentucky Girls STEM Collaborative Office Minutes. It's going to be a little bit like you're sitting in my office and we're just having a chat about what it's like to be a woman in STEM, except for it's not going to take an hour, so we call it Office Minutes. The goal is just to share stories from women in STEM so that younger girls in STEM can see where they have been and where they may end up going based on experiences that have previously happened. So let's just go ahead and get started. I've got a couple questions here that I'm supposed to answer. So it's what do you do? Well, today I am actually an Associate Dean of the Lewis Honors College here at the University of Kentucky. I'm interested in girls in STEM because I was trained as an engineer and I taught engineering for many, many years. And I just love watching the light bulbs go off and watching how people get excited about learning things that are going to end up creating and inventing and solving problems that are really significant in this world. So that's kind of what I do. My origin story is that I started off loving chemistry. I ended up finding engineering or chemical engineering, so it's just a beautiful mixture of the two things I loved. But a lot of it just had to do with the fact that I just loved math and science. I couldn't get enough of it. The first time I saw the periodic table, I was in love. Not only was it such an amazing sight, but it had represented so many amazing things that people had done in terms of research and development and figuring out what this is in the world around us. My favorite part of STEM, I like the science, I like the technology, I love the engineering. The math is so much fun. Math is actually really amazing because, while you're in school and you're like learning how to do various things, it seems like you're just, throwing around numbers. But the reality of it is when you really start to look at the world around you, there's a lot of mathematics in everything we do, whether it's throwing a ball or driving a car. And so to understand how those things come together and be able to break it down into equations, we can use those equations to solve problems we couldn't otherwise solve. So math is pretty amazing. I guess I'd pick that one. So the next question is your path, and they're wondering if I can share a little bit about whether it was perfectly mapped out or whether it was up and down. Mine was probably a little bit of both, but maybe a little bit more very traditional. I knew I loved math and science. I went to high school and took as many science classes as I could, as many math classes that I could. Majored in chemistry when I first got to Michigan State, decided to switch to engineering, did a co-op, got to work at Merck and Company, but everybody was getting co-ops and they were paying really well, so that just kind of fell into place. And then I went to grad school, really enjoyed grad school, came down to the University of Kentucky, and then decided to stay. Got a job here after I was done. So my path has not been too bumpy. And if you go back and talk to some of the people I went to high school with, I don't think anybody thought for sure I would be a professor, but I don't think anybody's surprised either. So I'm one of those cases. There are going to be some really great stories about women who have taken up and down roads that you'll get to hear in this series, but mine's a little straightforward. The next question is, what do you do when and if you get frustrated? Well, a lot of it has to do with having a good support system. So you need people around you that know you and want to see you succeed and can help you sort of navigate any waters that might be choppy and might be a little bit difficult. But overcoming challenges is, so closely related to math and science that I feel like they go together. So if you're interested in math and science, I'm pretty sure you can handle these challenges too. And hopefully things like the Kentucky Girls STEM Collaborative can help you build that mentoring network. Or maybe even one of these videos will surprise you and inspire you, and that might be something that happens. The other one is, do you have or are you a mentor? So that's a really interesting one too, and it goes a lot with what happens when you get frustrated, because it's nice to be able to talk to somebody. I would say I don't have one mentor. I would say I have dozens of them. I'm always looking for people who are going to share their story with me. I'm always willing to give my story and give advice, and I think it's important to have a network. Maybe not always focus on just having one or having that be your goal, but really being open to learning things from anybody and everybody around you. That's my advice. The next question is a good one. It's, tell us about time you failed. How did you turn that into a positive influence? I think that's such an amazing question in terms of, I think we all have to remember that while we're really good at math and science, it doesn't mean that we're never going to fail. There are things that go wrong, and there are things that may be disheartening, but that's really true in everything. So along with, I just don't want anyone to get frustrated with things. And to a certain extent, in my particular case, I really felt like it was my calling and I just almost didn't have a choice. So if something went wrong, I would just pick myself back up and keep going. Our last question that we came up with is, what makes STEM fun outside of work? So I think that's a really interesting question because when we first start off going to grade school, we're concentrating on what we do at school because we want to get good grades and make our parents happy. And then we go home and we try to get our homework done as quickly as possible, and then we go out and play. And then as time goes on, what we do in our playtime becomes different. Sometimes we read more, sometimes we watch more TV, maybe we try to learn more or experience more or go outdoors and do outdoory things. And the best part about STEM is it's involved in all of those things. So I carry my love for STEM beyond the workday for sure. Actually, I think probably one of the funniest things about me that my kids will point out is that I basically turn everything into an experiment. We had a party for my daughter and we were going to invite 30 people. It was going to be a pizza party. So I couldn't help myself. I had to get 2 thin crust, 2 thick crust, 2 medium crust, one of them with pepperoni, one of them with mushrooms, and we did an experiment to see which one was the most popular. And I can't help myself. That's what I do all the time. So my love for STEM definitely overflows into outside of my job. So I hope that was kind of fun. It ended up taking about almost 7 minutes. So that's minutes for sure. It's less than 10 minutes. And I hope that the next one is as much fun as this one. And if you have any questions, there will be a live Twitter thing that I probably might not even, maybe I shouldn't even be talking about because you might be watching this later and we've already had it. Anyway, I hope you have a great day and thank you for listening.